Man, got a chance to look at that fight again with Joe Joyce and Zhang, and you got to excuse me for butchering up his name, but that was just really bad to watch that happen to Joe Joyce because Joe Joyce is already 37, but Zhang is pushing 40. So I guess the time was now for both of them, and Zhang seemed to wanted it a little bit more than Joe Joyce, or should I say, he was a little bit more prepared than Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce was one of them dudes. They was kind of pushing. They have fighters that they like to push and see can they, basically, move them up the chain to basically put him in a position to get like a marquee fight. Put his name out there, match him with certain type of opponents where he could look good. And unfortunately, this style was a nightmare for Joe Joyce. As Joe Joyce, a guy who is knockout happy, sort of didn't know what to do when basically he hit the dude with everything and he couldn't get him out of there. What you need to understand about boxing, this is why it's called boxing. This is why you fight rounds. You don't fight until a person is basically, on the ground, or you don't fight till you knock them out. I mean, they used to fight like that back in the, early days of boxing, but now you prepare yourself to go rounds. And that's the problem when you become a knockout artist. That's why it's better to train to go rounds, prepare yourself to go the distance instead of preparing yourself for knockouts. Because when you start to basically knock out everybody in your path, like your first 15 fights is all knockouts, you thinking, okay, I'm gonna knock everybody out. And then when you fight that one guy who can observe your power or who won't go away, who won't go away easy, then all of a sudden, then you kind of stuck. And that always seems to be the case with certain fighters, and that's basically what happened last night with Joe Joyce. I think he was surprised that he wasn't able to get that guy out of there. And when he was surprised that he wasn't able to get that guy out of there, he started to collapse a little bit. And then the thing is, with Joe Joyce, he was just walking into punches. Wasn't bobbing and weaving, wasn't slipping punches. He was just standing right in front of the dude and just taking all those shots. At the end of the day, when they building up these fighters, you kind of, as you watch them fight, like I said, you only look good based off who they match you up with. You only as good as who they put in the ring with you. And so far, they had put guys in the ring with Joe Joyce that they pretty much knew that he can more than likely stop. And us as boxing fans, we buy into it. Even we get caught up in the hype. Even we become prisoners of the moment. So we at fault too. But me, myself, I play everything by ear. Most of the time, I don't give predictions. It is not because I don't believe in my predictions. It's just that I just don't do it. I barely give predictions. Now, I think what's going to happen next Saturday, I do think that Ryan Garcia is going to be knocked out. But like I said, anything could happen. I could be wrong. If I am wrong and Ryan Garcia beats Tank, let alone knocks him out, I will be the first one to come back here and give all the praise to Ryan Garcia. But that's what happened with Joe Joyce. If you saw that fight, I mean, he was just standing right in front of dude, just basically taking shots. And then just basically he treated it as a schoolyard fight where basically, the dude hit you and you try to get your lick back. And it was basically rock'em sock'em robots, except Zhang was able to basically observe Joe's punches way better than Joe was able to observe his. And that was just the end result. But nevertheless, it was a good fight for as long as it lasted. But you saw how banged up that Joe Joyce was, and you kind of was thinking to yourself, well, it's just a matter of time before the fight doctor stops the fight. And, I was watching it with some people and we kind of saw this coming. Now, he did try to get the guy out of there, and he wasn't able to get him out of there. But you knew the doctor was about to give him one more round to make something happen, and it was just too little, too late. So, Joe Joyce, will he be able to rebound from this? Well, it all depends. It all depends on what his handlers have in store for him, Frank Warren and Bob Aaron, what they want to do with him. And it was kind of funny. You was hearing the broadcasting team, Tim Bradley and guys, and I forgot the other guy's name. They was talking about that they think Jared Anderson was ready for Joe Joyce right now. Me, myself, after what I saw, yeah, Jared Anderson is definitely ready for Joe Joyce. Now you have to wonder, will they make Joe Joyce basically still a contender, or they will make him, or will they convert him to basically a gatekeeper, or what you call a test fighter, somebody who they also want to rally behind and say, okay, well, we'll put you in the ring with him and see how you fare against him, and then see how you fare against this dude. And then, if you get past these dudes, then we going to talk about getting you a big name and a big payday. Me, myself, Anderson has a fight coming up, I think, in July, and I think he's going to fight in Toledo, Ohio. Depending on who he fights and how good he looks, I will start looking at maybe possibly matching him up with somebody like Efe Ajaba, and then if he gets past Ajaba, then maybe can you set up something with him and Joe Joyce. What do with Joe Joyce, I would try to immediately get him back in the ring, so he doesn't, lose his confidence. And his confidence may be shaken after what happened to him last night. Get him back in the ring, see how he fares, and then, take it from there. But that was a major setback. So now, like I said, Frank Warren and Top Rank, Bob Arum, they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do with Joe Joyce. And I still think there's some winnable fights out there for Joe Joyce, but styles make fights. And unfortunately, that guy's style was just a nightmare for him. And then you have to wonder how he would fare against the other guys. You thinking to yourself, okay, well, they were talking about how he would fare against somebody like Anthony Joshua. That's an interesting fight. Anthony Joshua didn't look too good in his last fight. And then you seen what happened with Joe Joyce. That would be an interesting fight. But the thing is, with Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn, they are very selective about who they get in the ring with. And that's been proven time and time again. But Joe Joyce, if that had been Deontay Wilder would have flattened Joe Joyce. He would have flattened him probably in 3 rounds. Tyson Fury, he just would have beat the hell out of Joe Joyce for about 4 or 5 rounds. And you gotta just keep it a buck with that. You just gotta keep it a buck, and you just gotta be honest. Well, that's an honest assessment about, that's an honest assessment about Joe Joyce. That's why I'm saying, hurry up and get him back in the ring. And I would put him in the ring with, a lesser of opponent. Would he want to go back into a immediate rematch with that guy? That's very debatable, highly debatable. But it's not out of the ordinary that he couldn't beat him in a rematch. He would just have to make some adjustments. I think if Joe Joyce had established a better up and down attack, guys like that, you need an up and down attack. Beat up the body, hit him, rack him to the ribs, and break him down. Then start going upstairs. Because as you can see, that dude had a pretty good chin on him, and he took some shots. So that's what I would do in a rematch. I would fight him totally different. But at the end of the day, Joe Joyce, like I said, stood in front of the dude, and he basically was target practice pretty much for the entire fight. But that's what I would like to see them do. That's what I would like to see him do. Hurry up and get him back in the ring. Put him in there with a less threatening opponent and see how he fares. But like you said, I'm listening to the brother. Like you said, he may be toast. I think Jared Anderson could take him. I think Jared Anderson could take him. Effie Ajaba, that would be an interesting fight. He has no chance versus somebody like Sanchez. Has no chance against a guy like that. Has no chance against Wilder. I don't even think he could beat Andy Ruiz. But there you have it, back-to-back upsets. So you have Joyce who was an overwhelming favorite in that fight, believe it or not. He was an overwhelming favorite according to the odds. So you have back-to-back upsets, Joyce this week, and then last week you had Fundora, which I'm not gonna lie, I did enjoy watching, Fundora get the brakes beat off of him, or should I say get slept or get knocked out, and then he quit. That's what made it even worse. If you watch the Fundora fight, Fundora heard the referee counting him out. He just decided not to get up. He just stayed down because he didn't want to fight anymore. He quit. And some people will say, well, okay, well, I guess he felt he had enough. But this was a dude that they was building up. And this is a dude that I believe that they were basically trying to build him up to possibly put in the ring with Errol Spence, hoping that he would defeat Errol Spence. Yeah, I said it. Well, the thing, you know what was so funny about Mendoza? I seen that punch eventually coming. Everybody keep talking about the hook, but he was really getting in range, testing out the overhands. And at first he was like, he wasn't connecting, but then he started hitting him like at the higher, hitting him in his chest. Then he started hitting him in the neck, and then he hit him in the chin. And then I was like, okay, you could hit this dude with an overhand and then turn him and then hook him. So that's what Mendoza did. Because like I said, his face was wide open. If you turn and you hook him, you will hit him flush. And that's exactly what Mendoza did. Funny. I mean, he went down, and then here go the funny thing. If you look closely at that fight, when he got hit with the hook, you could have made an argument that would have been a standing 8 count anyway. Because it looked like his glove touched, I would have to watch it again, but it looked like his glove touched the canvas. I mean, did anybody see his glove? Because it looked like his glove touched the canvas when he got hit with the first hook. And then he was badly staggered, and then Mendoza came with the lead, and then the hook again, and then that was pretty much all she wrote. So it was just funny watching that happen. It was funny watching that happen to Fundora because, like I said, I criticized Fundora on a lot of my videos because I just was watching this dude. One dude told me that he even said he was willing to try to fight at 147. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, you like 6'7", and you fighting at 154. Like, bro, you a straight up small forward. I mean, you the same height as Andrew Wiggins, bro. And you fighting at 154. At the very least, you should be trying to fight at least at 175, which would be light heavyweight, or, you know, that should be the minimum up into heavyweight. But you sitting up there basically having a height advantage, and you could say a weight advantage, even though you fight at 154. I mean, come on, man. So I didn't respect that. And basically he got, you know, he got what was coming to him. That, I mean, that's what I thought. Well, you have to understand about trainers and guys like Fundor. See, that's the pros and cons of when you train with your parents. It's kind of hard to, like, you know, part ways with your parent, especially if your mom or dad or something is your trainer and they've been there with you from the start. So it's kind of hard because at the end of the day, you have a personal relationship as well as a professional relationship. So that's kind of tough. But I do agree with that. I do think it come a time, sometimes you just have to move on. But Fondora, I don't know. I don't know if he can, you know, based off the fact that he fights the way he fights, a guy that, those tall, lanky fighters, if a guy know how to use angles and know how to turn and use distance, they're going to always struggle. See, the thing is about taller fighters, it's hard for them to see punches like overhands because they fight, you know, they're taller than you. And if you can see the angles and if you know the range where the dude is and know the distance where he is within your punch range and within your arm length, your reach, you can hit them with something that they don't see coming. That's why most tall fighters, they can get hit with overhands and hooks and sometimes body shots. So Mendoza did a good job of using angles, and he was patient. And it looked at as if Mendoza was like, okay, well, I don't think he has enough power to, like, get me out of there because I could take his punches, because Mendoza got hit with some shots. And he was willing to take those shots to be able to set him up for his shots. That's sort of like what Marquez did with Manny Pacquiao. He got Manny Pacquiao so comfortable with, you know, even though he had to give up some, even though he had to take some shots to get Manny Pacquiao comfortable, and Manny Pacquiao made that mistake, and then Marquez caught him with that punch, hit him flush, and then night. And that's what Mendoza did. So at the end of the day, if a fighter is like, okay, I done took his best shots, I mean, I can't take him too long, but I could get him to the point to where he get reckless and get a little too confident. Sometimes you could capitalize off a fighter if he's a little too confident. And Fondora got a little too confident, and he paid dearly for it. Real talk. He got vision problems. Well, hey, I don't know about that, but that would be interesting if that's true, you know. But anyway, thank you guys for tapping in. We'll be back with more later on. Thank you.